Welcome. Let's take a look at our top story. The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Boris Johnson, has tested positive for coronavirus. The Prime Minister has mild symptoms and is self-isolating in Downing Street. Boris Johnson will continue to take charge of the government's handling of the crisis. He posted a video on Twitter saying he has a temperature and a persistent cough. Listen in.
Hi folks, I want to bring you up to speed with something that's happening today, which is that I've developed mild symptoms of the coronavirus, that's to say a temperature and a persistent cough. And on the advice of the Chief Medical Officer, I've taken a test that has come out positive. So I am working from home, I'm self-isolating, and that's entirely the right thing to do. But be in no doubt that I can continue, thanks to communicate with all my top team to lead the national fight back against coronavirus. And I want to thank everybody who's involved. I want to thank, of course, above all, our amazing NHS staff. It was very moving last night to join in that national clap for the NHS. But it's not just the NHS, it's our police, social care workers, teachers, everybody who works in schools, the DWP staff, an amazing national effort by the public services, but also by every member of the British public who's volunteering. Incredible response. 600,000 people have volunteered to take part in a great national effort to protect people from the consequences of coronavirus. I want to thank you. I want to thank everybody who's working to keep our country going through this epidemic. And we will get through it. And the way we're going to get through it is of the measures that you'll have heard so much about. And the more effectively we all comply with those measures, the faster our country will come through this epidemic and the faster we'll bounce back. So thank you to everybody who's doing what I'm doing, working from home to stop the spread of the virus from household to household. That's the way we're going to win. We're going to beat it, and we're going to beat it together. Stay at home, protect the NHS, and save lives.
A Downing Street spokeswoman has said that the Prime Minister has tested for coronavirus on the personal advice of England's Chief Medical Officer. The test was carried out in number 10 by NHS staff, and the result of the test was positive. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi took to Twitter to give his prayers and best wishes to his British counterpart. He says, and I quote, "You're a fighter and you will overcome this challenge as well. Prayers for your good health and best wishes in ensuring a healthy UK," unquote. Now, Stuart Smith is joining us live from London. Good evening to you, Stuart. Thanks for joining us on the show. Obviously, this is a very significant moment in the country. Boris Johnson has been in close contact with the government's chief scientist and all of the people in charge. What will the next step be?
Well, he does follow all of the advice. He's making sure that he self-isolates. Only for 7 days is required for him because he's on his own. His girlfriend, Carrie Symonds, who is also pregnant, adding a little bit to the complexity of the situation, she won't be staying with him. So he'll be self-isolated for 7 days. Staff at 11 Downing Street, which is where the Prime Minister lives, they'll knock on his door when they want to deliver dinners, and they'll leave food, newspapers and documents outside his door. And then he'll pick them up after the staff have safely left far away. So he's expected to be in isolation for 7 days. But like he says, he's got the ability to lead the country digitally now with all the technology that we have.
And will all the ministers that he's been in touch with be quarantining themselves?
Yeah, well, he's definitely been meeting with a lot of people. At the beginning of the week, the cabinet did meet virtually using video conferencing technology, but He says, staying at the 2-metre safe distance. So other ministers may at this point be wanting to get themselves checked. But so far we know that no one else who's close to the Prime Minister, his advisor, Dominic Cummings, or even Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor, have been tested for the virus. They may, if they develop symptoms, want to try and get tested.
Now, the Prime Minister, as you said, he was appearing at a press conference on a podium. He was certainly much closer than 2 metres away from other people who are very critical to this effort. Chief Scientist Sir Patrick Vallance and the Chief Medical Officer, are they going to be tested and declare their test results?
Well, yeah, they're saying the same advice that we're looking at now is the same thing we should be doing, which is staying in self-isolation. They're saying it's starting to work. They're saying the first signs that this lockdown is producing the effect that they wanted, which is a slowdown in the number of new rising. The UK on about 12,000 cases, confirmed cases. There are probably many thousands more, and nearly 600 deaths. But the slowdown is beginning, and the lockdown, therefore, seems to be working.
Boris Johnson has been criticised by seeming to come to the party quite late in the day and with the lockdown measures not being as stringent as some other countries. What are your comments?
Yeah, Mr. Johnson's at heart quite a liberal and prides himself on that. He wants to preside over a country which doesn't restrict people's freedoms unnecessarily, and that is his party's line. So the problem for him is ideology versus what's important, and he is taking the scientific advice. He is doing what scientific advisors tell him to recommend to the country, but indeed not the same similar level of lockdown procedures that other European countries have taken. And the UK police would struggle. They don't have to be able to lock down the country. They're not prepared to lock down the country, and the numbers of police and the resources they have means they would find that quite unlikely. So most police forces in the UK are saying it needs to be part of a social programme as well. People need to try and encourage other people not to go out unnecessarily. It can't all come from the government, and it can't all come from the police. The UK just doesn't have the resources for that.
Stuart, thank you for that report. That is Stuart Smith joining us live from London on the latest on Prime Minister Boris Johnson testing positive with COVID-19. Now, the UK...